Seriously, yeah, I just went live. But yeah, the Dan stream, 6.5 hours or something crazy, man. I just can't even imagine. I wanted to jump in, but it was just late for me, man. And I was hanging out with the wife. So
I mean, even for myself, I hopped on for about half an hour, but it was late. I was at a Metazoo tournament and I was beat. Those tournaments really freaking take a toll, man.
Yeah.
8-9 hours of just freaking 1 hour rounds, 7 rounds. It's just, man, it's crazy.
Brutal. Yeah. So that's one thing I'm actually curious about. Since we're live now, I don't know if we have anybody watching yet, but
thanks for the warning.
Sorry. I was like, I'm just going to click it. Whatever. It's one of those impromptu hangouts.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, how many tournaments? Walk me through like the Metazoo competitive, like, I guess what you call the hierarchy. Like, do you have to win certain regional tournaments to get invited? Do they have like I think they have not a world championship, I guess, but their national championship. How does that work?
I mean, this is all very new. This is all very fresh yet. So, going back to Casters Cup 2022, which was in May, I believe, Fort Worth. Essentially, all you needed to do was play in one sanctioned tournament and you're in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a total of 320 players. And out of those 320 players, how many essentially did the bare minimum, right? Just to get in, just to get a shot or whatever. I don't think that's going to be the case this time around. As a matter of fact, there's been a reset on the MPN, the Metazoo Player Network. And I think there's supposed to be a reset, or after the reset, there's supposed to be a minimum of 5 active tournaments played. So after the reset, you have needed to play in 5 Metazoo tournaments, sanctioned tournaments, in order to make it into the next Casters Cup, just because they want, I guess, active players. To me, though, I don't think they're going to cap it to just the 5 minimum, because what if only 100 show up? That's not going to look
right.
Good, right? If 600, 700 want to get in, but only 100 actually met the requirements, you want everyone in. How's it going, DNA?
Right.
What's good, boys?
And by the way, I just want to apologize to whoever watches this, or is watching live. Like, I don't make this into a Metazoo. People ask me questions, I answer.
Hey, to be fair, I wanted to know. Obviously, on this channel, multiple TCGs. We are open. We're ready to go. No V cards, no Yu-Gi-Oh. That's my only filters, or V friends, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. So tonight is Tops and Metazoo. So what everybody loves to talk about.
Yeah, right. It's the spicy topics all day. Yeah. Well, no, I was just curious because, like, with Metazoo, it seems, I don't know, I've heard so much conversation about it recently, and I think I heard you say that they've actually pulled out of Collectacon, right? Like, they're not going to be at Collectacon anymore.
That's kind of been what people have been talking about, and people that are reputable. We haven't heard it straight from the horse's mouth, but people that are reputable in the inside have mentioned, like, yeah, this is their last Collectacon. So get your promos, get your packs, and of course, Ivy was stuck at the tournament, so we couldn't get much of those Collectacon stamped packs, but that seems to be the word. That was their last Collectacon. Comic-Con is going to be the new circus, and there's another one, and I still forget the name. I've been meaning to research the other events that they're going to be attending, but again, my guess is they want to reach out to different crowds. So,
yeah, Thomas, sorry for the spicy topic. I'm not a fan of Tops, and both of these guys like them because they're cultured gentlemen, and I'm an uncultured swine. So that's pretty much what it is.
That's right.
No, it's awesome. Yeah, so it's interesting. I know I've heard of like AnimeCon because I think One Piece actually I think they like deployed the first like promo packs or whatever for the English version of that coming out, or I think it might have come out in the last couple of months, but I've only heard of that one. I'm not as familiar with like all the other like conventions and stuff that happen. But yeah, it's interesting that they would exit Collectacon because I know that Collectacon, and I think Rock Pokemon put it perfectly. He said that it was like PokeCon, like everybody was there for Pokemon. But and obviously general term, not everybody, but it seemed like Pokemon dominated, most buys and sells. I'm curious if I'm just curious if like it's something that had to do with that is the reason they got out. Maybe they just thought they were going to have a huge presence. I know they had their artist signing things set up over there, and it looked like there was a line there like literally every day of the weekend. So I don't know if I can't imagine. I mean, have you thought about like what have you speculated like why they would pull out of a collectible convention? Like that just seems counterintuitive to their whole brand.
I mean, to me, I guess the most obvious low-hanging fruit idea would be that they just want to reach out to, you know, different audiences, because the Pokemon audience is going to be the same audience, right, every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it worked, right? I think they were very successful at doing so. I mean, arguably, Pokemon has the largest audience in TCGs and collectibles, I believe. And so to start out that way, you know, opening the doors to the Pokemon audience first, that was very smart. And I think right now maybe they're seeing that they're hitting a ceiling, and they're not moving up. Again, this is just all theory. They want to reach out to different audiences. You know, like me, Comic-Con. Like I don't see myself attending a Comic-Con because I really want to. You know, there's nothing there for me specifically. So maybe they just want to reach out to different audiences. And again, there's a second one that they're also attending year round. So yeah, that's just my speculation. But also, I think it's a double-edged sword, because I think Pokemon and the Pokemon groups is what helps fuel Metazoo as well. I mean, look at us. I mean, we constantly talk about, every time I jump on, people are asking me questions. So, you know, Dan Ketchumall, obviously, and a few people in our circles.
I don't know who this we is, but I'm just messing with you, man.
People in our circles,
yeah.
You know, they buy into booster boxes and crack them open. They collect certain things within Metazoo. So I don't know. I think it's a little risky. I think it's a little risky of them pulling out of Collectacon completely, but maybe it's one of those where we could only do 2 events right throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And maybe we should just stick to a different crowd now and see what happens.
Yeah, I would imagine it could maybe just be the traffic that they're getting. Like I know that, you know, I'm sure there's some places they go that they just get absolutely swarmed, and it's like, oh, Metazoo is here. Like, where are the promos? Where are the pins? Where's all of this? And like, I didn't get that vibe at Collectacon. I don't know if you guys met very many Metazoo people. I maybe saw like 4 who weren't vendors that actually had like a Metazoo t-shirt, and they were there. And I think they'd gone to like the artist signing area that they had over there, but it didn't really seem like there was a big Metazoo presence. I didn't even know Metazoo had a big signing area until I had to walk over there. Like there wasn't like crowds of people who I could say like, oh, they're obviously into this. Like it just seemed, it didn't seem like it was a very hot like topic or TCG that was going on there. But what did you see, DNA? Did you run into anybody at your booth at all?
No, I didn't see anything at my booth. Over when I was hanging out with Basic in Long Beach, literally like right next to the booth was where Metazoo was at. But I only probably hit like 14 tables. I didn't go on the left side. So like to the right side of our section, that's the only place that I went. Every other time I was just vending because sales were pretty steady for the most part. So I just kind of was hanging over there. I didn't see the Metazoo booth at all, and I didn't hear anybody talk about it besides talking to Basic and Ivy about how the tournament went.
So maybe that's the reason when you get people that go, I didn't even see the Metazoo booth there. They're like, what are we doing at this place? Like, why are we here?
I was really busy the whole time, though, all things considered. Sure. So,
what's up, Rob?
What's up, boys? How's it going?
Thanks for checking in, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Just got out of the shower and was watching Mertz's video. I told that guy, I was like, dude, you're gonna end up starting a YouTube channel. You've been on too many people's lives recently. Like,
right?
You start drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
Is that how that works? Is that how?
Yeah, that's how it works, baby. Yeah.
What's funny?
Basic did put a YouTube video out. I don't know if you guys caught it.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's on my YouTube channel. Only subscribers can watch it, though.
Hold on.
I'm trolling you, right? I'm trolling.
Hold on.
I can't keep it going.
You have to subscribe in order to watch it.
No, but what's funny though, you said that Rob was I don't know Mert super well. We had, obviously I met him in Denver. I think he's an awesome dude. I had great interactions with him, but I keep seeing him on these live streams. I literally was about to shoot him a message on Discord and be like, man, like you're on all these live streams. When are you going to start a YouTube channel? And that same day I was thinking that. He was like, so I guess I'm a YouTuber now. I was like, let's go.
Yeah. Start drinking the Kool-Aid, man. That's what happens.
What's good, everybody? What's good out here? How's it going?
So, Josh.
What's going on? It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to finally be on one of these lives with you guys. I really consider you guys like some cool guys in the hobby, some good players. You know what I'm saying? Out there spreading the good messages. You know what I'm saying? The good stonks.
Lay down.
Man, I just really wanted to, you know, I've been trying to get on one. What's up?
Your mic is really loud, by the way.
Holy shit! Whoa! How is it?
I would just. You're good. I mean, you can adjust it in StreamYard, but I would just kind of maybe step away from the mic. I just want to let you know that.
Gentlemen.
No, you're
Sorry
fine, man. No worries.
You're good. You're good, bro. Don't even.
Yeah,
trip.
no. So basically, you know, I just wanted, you know, to kind of get out my 2 cents about how I feel about, like, you know, the state of the hobby, and like just without any BS, you know what I'm saying? Just like straight up, like, you know, just everything, you know, like everything on the table. So, and I want to get you guys' input because I value your opinions a lot.
Hot takes, huh?
I know, no hot takes, bro. Just this is my opinion, and as a collector, you know, because I feel like the collector doesn't get highlighted enough, right? Like the people on YouTube and stuff, and on Instagram with the big numbers are, you know, yeah, like, you know, collectors, but most, like, a lot of sellers, bro. Let's keep it a buck, dude. It's a lot of sellers that, like, you know, to be honest, like, it doesn't feel as cool when they look at it as just an item that can be flipped for and increase the value, right? And margin. You know what I mean? So anyway, so here's my take. Everything that happened in 2019, anything that happened in 2020 and 2019, you know what I mean? Pokemon, obviously, from what I saw in the prior numbers leading up to 2020 and the boom, it was coming up anyway. You know, like I hear you guys talk about it all the time, and like that's what I've heard, that it was like coming up either way, and I see like the numbers and stuff like that, and yeah, like it supports that theory. There was like a big pump, and at the same time, it's funny, bro. You know, like this Gary V with the sports happened literally at the same time. You know what I mean? You know, let's not even talk about sports. Everybody wants to talk about print runs and shit about Pokemon. Like, stop, bro. Like, try to get a master set of Panini Prism, any sport. It's like a joke. You know what I'm saying? So Pokemon is a little bit less bad on that part, but everything was being pumped and chilled. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, whether or not, like, you know, we're not gonna call out any names, but, like, you know, let's call a spade. Everybody was so excited. Everybody was so happy, and, you know, sorry about the verbiage, but horny. You know what I mean? You got people buying Darkness Ablaze at 200. You got people buying, you know, Vivid Voltage at 240 and shit like that. And people are like, you know, I remember that famous video, bro, when the guy was like, "Oh, bend the pack." He was trying to hunt the Chunkachu, and he bent the pack, and it was the Chunkachu pack, bro. That shit was so freaking awesome. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like, there was so much, like, emotion, so much. It was like the perfect storm, whatever. And the fat tendies were made, and margins were made. You know what I mean? Fast forward now, we go through the bearish market of 2022, which we've been in all year. There was deals the whole entire year, you know what I mean, on sealed, on even some vintage stuff like that. You know, I'm talking, you know, whatever you want. There was deals. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't think we're in a bearish market at all, honestly. Like, everyone, what is Rob frozen on my end, or y'all's in too?
Yeah, he's frozen.
Okay, I didn't know if it was me lagging out. But yeah, man, I mean, like, I hear a lot of people saying that, and I'm not, like, just saying I disagree with you 100%, but a lot of people say, like, you know, the market's, you know, going down, and there's, like, you know, downward sentiment and so on and so forth. But I did like 3 to 3.5 times as many sales as I was expecting to in Long Beach. And I mean, stuff's liquid. So stuff moves super, super quick. People are buying up modern, and prices might be down in certain areas, but I think overall, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's uptrending too. It's like SM Pratt said a while ago. You know, it's a K band. You know, some stuff goes up, some stuff goes down. Unless it's Umbreon, if it's modern, you know, it's going to go down.
I feel like, to be honest, bro, when I like, I'm just gonna be 100% with you guys. I think that when people look at it like that, that's so generic, that's so black and white, that's so stonks, that's so numbers, and this game is not that, bro. And let me finish the point that I was saying, and then I want the whole thing, because this is how I feel about the market. So we continue on into the bearish market 2022, because the reason why I call it bearish was because my boy went to I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm in California area, right? My boy goes to Frankensons, bro. He got the Evolving Skies for 100, bro. That was in first quarter 2022. That was it. You know, you could get Chillin' Rain for 80. You could get these altarts for like the super low. Like, no, bro. Like, yes, there are niche things that went up. We could talk about that, but like in general, the big things are going down. You see booster boxes. You're right. It's not a bear market. It's like a regular market. You know what I mean? it almost feels like maybe the print runs are being adjusted correctly, you know what I mean, and things are holding at that $195 level. But you know, I think that if it stays like that, then it's like the game kind of resets, right? Because there's no free tendies, right? Everything is going to be normal. Rudy with Alpha Investments talks about that 7%, that 5% increase like year over year on the boosters and shit like that. Like I think that's what we're going to start getting into. But you know what I'm trying to say is that this quote unquote bearish market where there's no super quick tendies to be made like in two month span, or like quick buy, quick flip from distributor to consumer. Now that that's not a thing anymore, it flushed out all of the people that don't really care about this stuff and left the true collectors. So when you go to these Collectacons that weren't here before, by the way, because I hear a lot of people talking about these Collectacons weren't even here, weren't even a thing anymore. You have the people that are our age that are. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. Sorry about that, guys.
No, it's all good. So, yeah, I think what DNA said. I mean, if we're talking like bearish, bullish, etc., I mean, that's always it's somewhat difficult to be able to like define the card market, I guess, is that way. I mean, you technically you can kind of draw similarities in the stock market and bonds and things like that. But realistically, it's like, is stuff liquid or is it illiquid? And obviously it depends on what you buy and sell. But as of right now, and you know, I'd love to hear Rob's take on this as well as DNA too. It seems like items that were illiquid maybe last year, it seems like almost everything is like somewhat liquid in whatever niche you're in. Like it seems like there's things selling, whether it's in person or whether it's online. There just seems to be a buyer for almost everything now versus before it seemed like there was maybe a lot more like newer faces in the hobby. So maybe the actual like knowledge base of like what certain items are, especially like, you know, DNA, you and Japanese, like maybe people just never looked at Japanese cards. And now that we've had this many people who are new in the hobby for this amount of time, it's like, now they understand. So it seems like there's a lot of buyers for a lot of different things. That's not even just limited to Pokemon. I feel like that's limited to, or not limited at all. I think it's like collectibles in general now have such a larger buyer base. And I'm curious what you guys think on that. That's the vibe I'm getting. I mean, there's people who are buying TCGs that I've never heard of.
Yeah. What's your take, Rob?
I just pulled this. Can you guys hear me okay?
I see.
Yeah, you're good now. You're back.
My settings were totally haywire. I don't know. I heard something horny, and then my computer shut down.
It's your firewall, man. It's like,
dude, I guess so, man. This is some Demon Slayer that I picked up from the booster box. I picked up a couple at Collectacon, and I opened a couple on the stream today. And as I'm opening up these cards, I'm like, man, these are beautiful. These are really cool. And I decided to open a box for myself, and I got the SP, you know, the Nezuko. And it's like, to your point, I mean, so many people are collecting so many different things. It's like a year ago, I would not be interested in this, you know, but through Pokemon, I started watching a little bit more anime because it's kind of like, I don't know, synonymous, you know, a lot of people that are into Pokemon, you know, kind of like Weiss, they like anime. It's kind of just, you know, like a nerd thing, I guess you could say. But it's kind of opened me up to different things being in this hobby. And it's like, these cards are so cool, man, you know? And so I guarantee that obviously there's people that are buying it to rip packs for fun. Now for the graded copies, I have no idea. I'm going to grade it for my personal collection because I think that they're really, really fun. But yeah, man, a lot of different TCGs, a lot of different interests. It's a lot of fun.
So I have a couple questions with that, because like I told you, I was watching your stream a little bit earlier, and I told you I saw Demon Slayer. So one of the guys who was at the booth for Demon Slayer, he actually bought my Aerodactyl fossil blister that I had. He's a big Aerodactyl fan. And we were just kind of talking back and forth. We did a few other trades that was like Pokemon related. And I was asking them about Demon Slayer because I didn't know it was an anime. I'm not a big anime guy. I don't know a lot about it. Just kind of not my specialty. So this sounds really stupid, and I think I already know the answer, but that's not Weiss. That's their own TCG, right?
Correct. So this is Build and Divide, which is a similar IP to Weiss, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's different, but it's very similar.
So at their booth, I don't remember the company, and I wish I did, but they had a bunch of slabs out of like all the cooler cards, and it was graded from like a not PSA, CGC, BGS, AGS company. It was like some other company. I know like MNT does Naruto, but I don't know like I I don't know what company they had it graded with, but they were talking about how it was super cool, and I was like, yeah, those like the cards look really neat. I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I actually don't know if there's any specific grading companies for these. I got the Demon Slayer. Let me just whip out a pack just to show. So that's what the pack looks like, and my lighting is awful, but that's Build and Divide. And then this is Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel. So if you guys know any of the Fate series, they have multiple, some are on Netflix. And they're really cool cards as well.
So I'm on DNA's same like mindset with this. Like I don't follow anime really at all. Other than Dragon Ball, like I'm familiar with it and still keep up with like the story, just like the very quick like 125X, like anything like Dragon Ball Heroes or anything like that. But I wonder too, and I want to get to there's people dropping some chat questions. I don't want to keep them in the dark on here, but one thing that Robbie brought up that makes me kind of think about this, talking about grading for your PC. I wonder if with grading prices now just going down so much compared to what they were a year ago. I mean, again, we were all used to like 150 minimum, 100 minimum, 50 minimum, all of that. It makes me wonder now that if it's now opened up the buyer pool where people actually want to go out and buy the cards now because they can grade them. Not everybody wants to go out and actually purchase a card and then have to sit on it for, an unlimited amount of time, not knowing when they'll be able to grade it. Because I think graded cards now, like if people have cards and they're collecting cards, like they want them graded. But maybe they just weren't pulling the trigger on cards because they couldn't grade them, at a cheap price.
Oh, definitely.
So maybe that has a lot to do with it.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to swap out to my live stream battery. This battery's starting to die. So give me 1 second, guys.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll go to Thomas's question. He said, "Do you see any Fortnite cards there?" He's talking about Denver Collectacon. So I saw no Fortnite.
Neither did I.
There was a lot of TCGs, but I know what those cards look like because I've seen Radar open them. I didn't see any Fortnite the whole time I was at Denver. As I said earlier in the stream, it really was like it was a Pokemon heavy place. Like there was a little bit of Dragon Ball there. There was one guy who had like a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh, I guess, on his table. And that was, it stayed there from what I saw because I only walked the table Sunday. It was Pokemon that was moving.
I've never been to a Collectacon, so is it usually always Pokemon centric, or because like you would think that sports is so big, do they have like their own events for sports cards, primarily, or do we just get lucky on that one?
Yeah, Jake's been to Jake Pokenomics. He went to him and Radar both. I can't remember what they called it, but it was, what was it?
The National.
Yeah, the National. That's it. Yeah, so that's primarily sports. So they went and checked that out. I feel like they all kind of have their own little conventions, events, whatever it is. But same here, Rob. Like this was the first Collectacon I've ever been to and vended. But I was like, I didn't expect it to be only Pokemon. I actually expected a lot more diversity and things that people were buying and looking at and all of that. But because even the voice actors they had there were all from like very niche animes. Like it wasn't like we only have Veronica who's Ash. We only have this guy who's Brock.
Right.
Like it was literally like I don't even know if there was a Pokemon person up there, to be honest. I think there was maybe one.
I think I just saw the one.
The origins of Collectacon, though, the two main guys, and I forget their names, but the origins of Collectacon is purely based for Pokemon collectors.
Okay.
So when you first start out with the first 3, 4, 5 Collectacons, it was 90% Pokemon. Every single booth, it was just, there was no doubt about
raw slabs.
Pokemon. It was
everything.
Pokemon slabs. It was Pokemon sealed. It was Pokemon plushies. It was Pokemon
binders,
arts. It didn't matter what it was, but it was Pokemon related. And as you progress throughout the Collectacons, as we all know, anyone can buy a booth. Anyone can get in there. So if you're mainly sports, if you're all sports, you can go and get your booth, at Orlando. So there's nothing stopping you from. There's no other TCG, no other collectible against sports. Nothing stopping them from going to these cons. But it's just one of those. Well, does it make sense for us to be at a con, right? If we're heavy sports. So
from my experience, they would have done terrible.
I've definitely seen them, but little by little, it has definitely trickled down to other TCGs, other collectibles, that vary within the hobby. So, But yeah, that's kind of like the origin. The origin is like this is for Pokemon, and it's the Pokemon hype, and we just kind of need to ride the train. We need a con and event that just centers on Pokemon, and that's when those two guys stepped in and made Collectacon themselves.
Right. And Marty, to answer your question, sorry, I'll answer this real quick. No, man, we didn't. We did not pull the God Rare out of 2 cases, but we did get both SCRs that are the best ones in the entire set. So we got the Goku. I'm not throwing my card came in here because I'm lazy, but and then the Vegito, which is my personal favorite. So I know that camera's got it flipped and everything, but we pulled the best SCRs, which is really all you can ask for. And we did it in an hour and a half, which is like the best because the last one was like over 4 hours long and we went to the very last box. So I'm glad that I've got boxes left over now. But yeah, so Ancient Muse said, if I decide to send in my 2 Umbreon I have left PSA, what should I do for declared value? And should I do the $100 express?
Yes.
What I would do is I would.
What's the grade? What do you think the grade's going to get? A 9 or a 10?
10. Come on.
No.
Don't you guys always expect those?
Yeah, so I've seen one of them and it's almost a definite 9. The other one looks, I would say it's like a 35, 65 being a 9. The other one like 35% chance. I haven't seen him in person. I've just seen the pictures when he posts them, and because he kind of asked a few questions in the Discord. But I would send him at the 50, man. That's just me. I wouldn't send him at the 100 because I mean, you're gonna get the 50 back relatively quick. Like, I mean, I would say probably 30, 45 days.
Yeah,
probably a month. So if you get it back in a month, I mean, I don't think Umbreon's going to go to the ground in a month. That's just my thoughts. I mean, that card I saw like a sale was like almost $1,300 today. Makes me want to throw up because I sold mine like 3 months ago for $635.
You do it.
And here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. You sold a modern chase card for $635.
I did the right thing. That the market is wrong.
Yes, completely. I will agree with that all day. But no, Ancient, you pulled them both, which is awesome. I'm pretty sure you said you pulled them both. So yeah, I would absolutely go 50, and I would put that 9. Like, I don't know what order they go back, front to back, but I would definitely put that 9 in the front and have that second one be the one that they grade if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if they look at that and they'll
That's
know,
the trick.
It's psychological, right? It's like, oh,
That's
this one looks
trick.
okay. Because I just actually sent off, and they'll actually be back tomorrow, a little over a full set of the Volume 1 Judge promos from Dragon Ball, like the first ones that they ever did. And the one that I thought looked a little bit less, I mean, it's really hard to tell in Dragon Ball cards, but I put it first. It got a 9, and the other one got a 10. So, like, I don't know if it's like proof of concept. That's literally one example, but I've done that for a lot of submissions, and it seems like the first one always gets the lower grade. Yeah, so I would definitely set them at 50. There's no need to get them back that quickly. I wouldn't think.
I asked this question 2 lives ago. I think it was at Jake's Live. Me, DNA, and a few other cool cats in the Discord. We were, in voice chat, and we were talking about Umbreon, and it was $700 2 weeks ago. It was right before Collectacon. Like, what happened? And so, the obvious answers are like, oh, it's been shilled. It only takes a few, people to, buy it out, increase the numbers, and then they own everything and whatnot. But it's crazy because we were saying, oh, what's the floor on this guy? Because it's going to go down. And we were saying 400. I think DNA said something like,
I was like 350. I was like, this card's going to bottom out at 350. Just give it a few months, give it a couple months.
And it
just casually doubles.
And
it still could. That's the thing. Is it like it's all fear, dude? Because I have the same reactions for me. I'm chasing BWURs and PSA 10 right now, and all of a sudden I see prices moving up, and I'm like, I gotta buy these now because they're moving, And it's a little bit different situation because the pops are much lower. They don't pop up as much in regards to you being able to find it, but that fear is like there. Like, I need to buy it now. And for an inexperienced buyer that's watching these channels, that talk about, oh, invest in Pokemon. It talks about modern Pokemon. It talks about, what are the big chase cards? Like, imagine coming into the hobby and hearing that, and then you start to see it move up, and then you want to hop on the money train, and then or you're a collector and you're like, oh, I got to buy it now before it keeps going up anymore. Like, I've fallen prey to that for sure. And even if it's a natural reaction, I can like slow myself down and be like, no, this is irrational. Like, let's piece it out. Is it really worth this much? Do I really think it's going to continue to go up? Will I be able to get it at a lower price? Can I be patient, get it at auction or PWCC? Like, but other people might not have that same rationale due to inexperience or whatever. So I genuinely think it's fear. And then as soon as we start to see prices go down, again, people are like, oh, great, it's going down. I'll just wait. I'll wait. And it's like, it can just tank as soon as it goes up. Like, I genuinely think that's the reason why.
With this card, though, it's like, it's so unpredictable. So, like, take everything that we're all saying with like a grant. I've never seen a card like this. Like,
Mason has
like a single card.
Mason said he's never seen a modern card do this before.
No, like Evolutions as a set kind of did this a little bit. Like, it just kept exploding and people didn't know why. But like just a single card is insane to me. Like, because I don't know the fundamentals of it. I know it's a hard pull, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like, you know, again, it's kind of like you said, DNA, the market is wrong and we're all right. But
and even Evo took a long time. Even it took Evo to be hated first before it skyrocketed, right? Umbreon was pretty much on the climb right off the gate, right? They started out steady, 300, 400, and then it stayed there, it hovered there between 4 and 5, then all of a sudden made a jump to all the way up to 750, 800, and then it started coming down just a tick, and then it decided, nope, we're going to go back up again.
And I want to rapid fire three things.
Can I say one thing real quick, bro? Like just like 2 seconds on the Umbreon. First of all, I do not own the card. Like, I'm never gonna get vested into that card. Like, do not care about that card. However, I will say this to the boy Ancient Mew, because I know that he's been asking a lot of this question in the Discord. First and foremost, you should consider selling it raw, right? Like, because why not, right? I mean, you see one selling for 631 on it, bro. 631 on it. One just sold.
He's not wrong.
Well, you know what I mean? Hold on. Well, I'm just saying, consider, bro, 631 on it. You know what I mean? And it's much just quick, you know what I mean? Or you could just like hold on to it. More along the lines of that. Like, it's basically a put or a call on this Umbreon, right? It is the outlier. It is like the, oh my goodness, why is it this price or whatever? But I'm not betting against it or for it, man. You know, personally, like I don't think it's shilling. I really don't think it's shilling, in my opinion. I think this is real. I think this is real stonking. I think people really do rate it like that. And it, you know, I don't know if it's going to go up or down. I'm not ready to make a call, but you know, this is not shilling, bro. This goes beyond shilling, in my opinion.
See, I don't know. I think that in the beginning there was absolutely some. I know a buyout happened with the Machamp because they tried to do it with the Machamp, like these groups who buy these things, because Machamp did the same, not the same thing, but something very similar. I think that it was shilled for a certain amount of time and somehow just got legs and has kept going. But the only thing that I disagree with it being like organic and people are actually like completely fine paying this price. And again, I could be wrong. We're all speculating here, but I don't see anyone talking about this card outside of its price. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't see anybody talking about how great the art is. I don't see any appreciation, like post stuff happening. Like, usually when there's cards that are just absolutely insane, it's like, you'll see very in-depth, like, here's what I love about this. Here's the fundamentals of it. I love the colors. I love the scenery. I love this. And I really just have not seen any, to be honest, of that. It's only been like, have you seen what Umbreon's price is today? DNA was wrong. It doubled. What do we do about this? Like, you know, like whatever it may be. It's just like,
it's funny as hell.
I want to rapid fire three things super quick. I've forgot one, but Ancient, really quick. I heard you say like what you should put the declared value at. Always put it in your favor, and I literally wouldn't stress like submit it on the 50. I don't know what the value tier is on the 50, but I'm sure it's going to cover it. And if it doesn't, you get upcharged to 100.
It's got to be 1,000.
Yeah, it's got to be 1,000. Yeah, and you're not going to get upcharged.
Tops. I mean,
over 100 or a couple $100 bucks.
50 at 1,000?
I think so, imagine. Because the $30 tier is $4.99, and so I'm assuming, and that's value, and so the next one up is was it economy or regular? No, regular is $100, so economy would be the 50. So I'm assuming it'd be the 1,000. I'll check right now.
Yeah, Ancient. I never really like if I shoot for a lower tier, I just put whatever the max declared value is that tier allows. Like if I know that it's more than that.
Me too.
I mean, I don't.
And then you always bump up the lower cards on the other tier. Yeah,
absolutely. I have always like put in larger cards and lower bulk orders. Like I've never paid attention because worst case scenario, basically you're just rolling the dice. Are they going to charge you and upcharge you, or are they not? And especially on stuff that, like, I mean, granted, Umbreon's going to have its own, like, I'm sure they're watching all of those, but, you know, especially if you're getting to like certain cards that are just, you really don't see that often. They don't come up for sale very often. PSA's APR is like super outdated on a lot of cards because I don't think people actually put the cert numbers in their listings. So I don't know if it's linked to that and it's just not capturing the data. But Dan had said this quite a bit of times, but if you get upcharged to a tier that you don't think is fair, if you email them, hey, here's what I'm looking at, they'll overturn that. So it's not like you're not going to be covered. It's not like anything like that. Like just, you know, either YOLO it or just put the max tier and whatever, or max amount of whatever tier that you're sending at. But I think 50, like DNA said, should be fine. I mean, there's no reason. You're probably going to get 100 back, maybe like what would you guys say? Like a week, maybe 2 weeks early? Like
yeah,
can you,
2 weeks is nothing.
Pete, can you add my screen share in there?
There you go.
So, so the $50 tier is at at 1,000 turnaround time.
Yeah, you're straight doing that 50.
You know, about 2 to 3 months, somewhere in there. I'd say go here for sure.
Yeah, 30 will take a while.
You're safe on the 9 or the 10, you know, because it's probably right around that point where they probably won't upcharge you. And even if they do, it's not that much of a quicker turnaround time. I mean, you'll get this in a month for sure, but you'll probably get this close a little bit over a month as well. Like I guarantee these are going to be pumping out.
And they're overestimating too there. And I haven't said this if you want to remove Mason's comment too, we can get bigger, by the way, Peak. But
how do I make his comment? How do I make his comment bigger? I'm just kidding.
But
you know, PSA is gonna want to smack you with that freaking $50 charge, bro.
So really quick, there's a lot of things that I'm not going to go over every single thing, but someone in chat said Evolving Skies would be 400 soon in their opinion. Pokey Martin said that. So I don't think that that's the last reprint of Evolving Skies. I really don't. There's no way that's the last reprint for how crazy that set is. So that's my quick take there. Second is the thing is with like the Umbreon prices, I think that probably 25% of it's people FOMOing and people like just trying to pump it. And I think the other 75% is probably, and that's just like rough round figures of speculation. I think the other is organic growth because that card is hard to pull. Evolving Skies boxes wouldn't be $240 or whatever the heck they are right now if there wasn't actual organic interest in that set. And I just think that everyone's going to get, Mason said the same thing. And I've never had a distributor, never talked to a distributor, but I can only like Pokemon printed Tag Team GX Elite Trainer boxes, not Tag Team GX. What's that set called? That's like $800, $900. Is it Tag Team?
Tag Team, bro.
Team Up?
Yeah. Team Up. That's what it's called.
Team Up. Sorry. What the fuck?
Yeah. Team Up Elite Trainer boxes like a year ago, give or take. And that set had been gone for a while. So I just think that I don't think we're anywhere near to the end, but I think that there are a lot of people who really like that card. I mean, look at Japan because we can do a buyout here. I don't know what the Machamp did in Japan. I'm not like that in tune with it, but
not that great.
Yeah.
I think Giratina was the one that like
Giratina is selling for over 1,000.
Went crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, people love alt arts, and I'll kind of wrap up what I'm saying with this is the amount of people who were asking about alt arts and had alt arts and people were buying alt arts at Collectacon was ridiculous, right? I mean, I can't even tell you like how many people walked up. It's probably like 6 or 7 people walked up in my booth alone were asking me if I had a specific alt art raw or in a binder or whatever it is. Yeah. To Jaws's point though, to sell that one raw, if I were you, Ancient, I probably would sell the 9 raw because the raw ones go more than the PSA 9 ones do because people are trying to buy it in hopes to grade it into a 10. They go for about $100 to $150 more, and you can dump it right now.
Well, I just started looking at the same thing because I was like, okay, what makes more sense, right? Selling a raw versus selling a graded. So selling a raw, the last one that sold, I believe was today, was at 400. Let's call it 450, 460 after taxes. That's what that person paid. The last PSA 8, October 20th, went for 405. So let's call it $20 less.
That's ridiculous.
If you know that you're going to get a 9 for sure or better, I'm grading.
Sell it raw, bro. Sell it raw, bro.
No, I'm grading all day because a PSA 8 goes for the same as raw. So if you know you're guaranteed a 9 or a 10, grade it.
And not only that,
actually, yeah, that's true.
I've seen it the other way around though too. Basic. I think it's like the market's just all over the place. So you could be right though, for sure. But whenever I looked into it, it was like $100 difference. It was $100 more raw, but it could have been a better copy raw because if you have an OC copy, people might not be as apt to bid on it. Obviously.
Yeah.
It just depends really on. I mean, how. I know you said that you saw one of them that definitely looks like a 9. So it's like what. It depends on what makes it that 9. Centering is going to be tough. I think centering always is going to hit a raw card because people, like you said, they want to buy the 10. So like if you're even slightly off, like it could possibly hit a 10 even with the centering. It's tough, man.
I also would say one thing to Basic's point. That is a great point, bro. I mean, yeah, the fact of the matter is that the chance that they're going to smack you with that 10 is very high. I mean, you look at the gem rate, it's very nice. You know, it's similar to like sports cards and stuff like that. So you will make a freaking huge margin. Yeah, they're probably going to smack you with that $100 charge, right? With that $50 plus boy. But yeah, I think it is worth the gamble. I mean, you do lose some monies on it, you know, but yeah, I think it's worth the gamble. I agree.
You only get hit with the charge if it goes above what it gets after it's graded. The value, it's not the value before it's graded. It's what do you think the value of the card is going to get after it's graded. If it gets graded PSA 9, which is whatever, $700-800, whatever, the value limit is $999, so it wouldn't go over that. But if it does go over that and you get the 10, then it's worth it. Then the $50 upcharge, you're like, heck yeah, I'll take that on all day.
But my point is, they probably want to give you that because again, like if you look at the totality of the pop report, right, it's 2,200 10s ish, right? Are they all beautiful gem minty quality? Let's be honest, no. So
no, you know, people are submitting the 10s.
So but my point is, they're buying the grade, not the card, right? And that's what I think the point is with the rationality of the price is that it's a modern card. It's, you know, when you look at the no rarity, for example, the no rarity Mewtwo that just sold, right? PSA 10, the Grail Mewtwo. Let's be honest, bro, the absolute Grail. People look at that card closely and see that it's not a true 10 because of the centering. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But also, you got to understand that PSA never claims to grade perfect cards when they give the 10. It's not like Beckett, where it's very strict and very hard. Their guidelines are not a perfect card. They talk about what is within the realm of a 10, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. They say, oh, there's one small imperfection, or you can see that the centering's off. But that's what a PSA 10 is. It's tougher than what it used to be. It used to be even more lenient. But if you go on their website, you can see that it's not a perfect card. And the other thing that I'll say is that I would think that you would be right in regards to they would want to give more 10s at a lower, value tier to get the upcharge. But a lot of times PSA won't even upcharge, which is weird.
No, it's a strange thing. One thing I'll say to Ancient Mew on kind of this last topic of your Umbreon, because you said if I get an 8, do I crack it and sell it raw? What you could do is you could send the lesser copy to CGC and the better copy to PSA. It's always something you could do because CGC is not going to grade near as tough as PSA. So
again, me just comparing the market. If you get the 8, which is a roll of the dice, right? Because if again, you look at the quality of the card. If you know you're going to get a 9, worst case scenario 10, but then you catch the wrong guy on the wrong day, you get an 8, you sell it for the exact same price as a PSA 8 as the raw just went for today.
But think about it though, like with CGC, I mean, I personally, if it were me and I had 2 of those and one I could tell like is not going to get a PSA 10, which if you're pretty good at like looking over cards, most of us can usually say like it's a dice roll if you're going to get a 10 on something. You could send it to CGC. I would recommend no subgrades and just take whatever grade they give you. I mean, I've definitely seen some CGC 10s come back that are like, why? And, every grading company is going to have those examples, but I feel like that's something that you could consider. Or like you said, if you want to sell it raw and just get money, great. But you pulled them, so I don't know how many boxes you actually bought to do that. But, yeah, I mean, that's always the thing too. You can send them both PSA at 50. Or you could send one at 50 with PSA and one at CGC in the lower tier, probably get the CGC back quicker, and then kind of gauge the market from there. and see what it goes for. I don't know what CGC goes for. I'll put
Yeah,
it up here.
So look at this though. So this card just sold for $685 raw, and the back picture is ass. It looks like it might have some lightning on it. Yeah, and look at this bottom though. The bottom is super thin. This is gonna 9, and it just sold for $685, bro.
It's a fresh card, freshly made in 2022. Not perfect. I mean, that's sad, bro.
I mean, I just think that I don't know. I think it just like getting the 10 basic. You're probably right. I mean, it's probably the safer bet to grade it because your upside is so high that like I just got that Lily full art back that I submitted a better copy. I'm gonna stop sharing that. I submitted a better copy previously with the exact same no whitening, just better centering on the first time, and it hit a 9. The back centering was horrible, and it hit the 10. So not only did that one hit the 10, but it also was at a tier to where like it was $500. The card sells for $500 more, and they didn't upcharge me too. So it was just like all over the place, like super weird. So you're probably right. Is like if you do pay to grade it, you have the potential to sell it for more raw, maybe $100 or a couple $100. But at the same time, it's like you could also sell it for less, and you have the upside potentially hitting the 10. So yeah,
this is also a good point from Mason. 80% chance it's a 10 for the most part. Like obviously it's a very subjective, very odd thing to say, but out of all submitted, roughly 80%.
It's a significant number that sports people use all the time, you know. So yeah. It's very relevant.
I think it's funny that to DNA's point, who was it? I just saw it. B Purple Poker says, "Love the Umbreon talk." To his point, man, people like this set. People like this card. You know, like it's hot. You know,
it's a beautiful card. Let's be honest. I know people said that they don't like it. I don't like Umbreon. I don't rate it. You know what I mean? But I think it's a beaut. It is stunning when you look at it closely, bro. It really is.
That's interesting. CGC 10 sold for $1,550. Pokemon, did that have subgrades on it, or was that no subs? That's what I would be curious about.
I like Basics comment, Mace. So 100% of the time an Umbreon gets graded, it gets a 10 80% of the time.
100%. That's my thing, though.
That's funny because it's true.
Yeah, I'm curious if it's. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to end at, but Ancient Mew, I think I saw you say in the chat earlier, this is your first PSA sub, or first sub in general. So, yeah, man, you've got options. But here's the good thing: you said that you pulled those. I'm actually going to highlight that. You pulled one from a 10 from Sam's Club, and the other was from a Tyranitar box, also from Sam's Club. It doesn't matter what you do, man. You win. So, like, there's not a bad choice in this. Like, you can try and maximize a couple $100 extra grading, like the one that you said might be a 9. But at the end of the day, like if you can just take your win, hope for a 10 on the other one, like there's nothing wrong with that. It's that you don't have to grade these, but it really depends on your intent. I mean, if you're just like, I want to maximize as much as I can, I'm either grading with CGC, which I would, now that we've talked about it, I'd probably recommend, especially with a $1,550 10 sale, or I would sell raw and go for the PSA 10 and sell that one as well.
Not financial advice, but if you hit a freaking ball right at the gap and you're already at third base, I'm going for the home run. I'm going for the inside the park home run. You don't settle for third base. You go for the inside the park home run.
Basic Trainer changed my mind, bro. I totally agree, bro. And I would tell you this too. I hope that you trade that boy or flip that boy into vintage, bro. Vintage is king.
I want to talk about the waifus.
Yeah. Flip it into some modern alt arts, send them off, some raw other alt arts, grade those.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Boom, 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 boom.
Get the rares, stock them rares.
Throw it in the Charizard UPC, right? That's the play. The Walmart UPC prize.
Buy the fat, easy dump of the market in the Black Friday, bro. Slurp up that market. That'd be nice.
I just think that the Charizard UPC is people are gonna be let down. I think that the market is going to I don't know. I think the English quality print of a promo inside of a container with a bunch of other junk is just like a recipe for disaster. And the ones that I've seen open, they've been like super OC, look beat up, all sorts of stuff. So I think it's gonna be, there's obviously money to be made. I just think the amount of money that's gonna be made is gonna be a lot less than what people expect. I think the gem rate I think 100% of the time, we're going to see a 10 about 40% of the time.
I like it.
And this will be kind of my, I think maybe our last topic here, because I don't want to go too much longer, guys. I still got to do a whole PSA sub. But one thing that I did bring up, and I might have been in Rock's Live or something, but I know Jake and I were talking about the UPC and I hear people talking about print runs and things like that with it, how everybody's got to pre-order, like they've got to be printing like a ton. One thing I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on, which everybody can kind of chime in on this to end it, but I'm curious, I think people are comparing it to obviously the Celebrations UPC. So like the Celebrations UPC came out in like peak hype. Like this was like everybody's buying, new people, current people. There's a lot less or there's more buyer confidence in buying something and thinking that you're actually going to make something off of it, which was the case for a lot of the time. So I'm curious now, because I don't remember when the Celebrations UPC came out, but I know it's been, within this bubble bursting, quote unquote.
Mason? Mason would know.
I
was just tagging Mason in for that answer.
Or I wish we all had devices we could look this up on, but we won't. We have a Mason.
Yeah, we have a Mason.
So I'm curious if it's possible that the stock is the same, but there's just a lot less of a buyer pool buying these up. So we're seeing more of the people we know, the people in this hobby, the people who are engaged, who are fine saying, yes, I'll drop $500-$600 on multiple $120 products. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about a $120 Pokemon product, which is huge for a mass market. Like not many people go out and buy a $120 box. So I'm curious if that's a possibility, is that maybe the stock and the print runs are the same, but it's just the buyer pool is a lot less now. Not necessarily a bad thing because they're actually still buying, but I kind of struggle thinking like they just printed it to the moon and that's why everybody's getting it when there's so few less people in this hobby, quote unquote, like compared to what it was when the Celebrations UPC came out. Does that make sense? A little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I just think that for the UPC
okay, so he said October last year. Sorry, I'm gonna just throw that in there. So 1 year later, we have this come out now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think with all arts at an all-time high for demand and people liking them and talking about them and money getting thrown at them, to have a product that has 3 Charizard alt arts or big cards in there is enough to make people go crazy. And for me, that's why I was like, I'm willing to bet 3 UPCs, that I can make money off these. I didn't go all in and go crazy. I could have, but I'm like, do you know what? I don't know what the print quality is. DNA made a great point. I saw a couple as well that looked pretty OC, and it's like awesome, but I'd be willing to bet even on the 9s, probably still make some money, if you crack those and send them in at the $50 tier. So it's like, I'm willing to risk that and have some fun and just see what happens with it. And then just sit on one and see, again, just play the weight game. That's like my goal.
I remember Jake saying that he doesn't understand it, so he's not going to do something or play in something that he doesn't understand. And I didn't have time to chime in, but it's like, it's Charizard. Historically, Charizard. What does it do? And I mean, look, Evo Charizard still, what, $90, $100, right? In a PSA 9, obviously 10 is the exception, but yeah. So, can you lose with 3 Charizards in one case if you're submitting at max? I mean, how many people here on this panel here are making the play?
I mean, I think probably everybody's got some. I've got 5 coming.
I honestly, I got a few homies that do. I personally have none, but I'll just say this about the Charizard UPC. Again, total speculation, conspiracy theorist hat here. I believe that product was probably print to demand. So they probably printed a freaking hefty amount of it, but it's gonna get eaten up by the market, man. I mean, it's a good price point. It's beautiful. You could crack one, you could save one, you could crack 2, save 2. Like, it's a good price point, 120 as in comparison to the Celebrations UPC. I like it. I like the UPC. I like the UPCs, man. I'm gonna regret not getting it, I think.
Yeah, I think that it's hard for me to. And I remember seeing Dan cringe at this in his stream yesterday when I think Retro was.
I know exactly where you're going, by the way.
Whenever you hear you can't lose. It's really hard for me to like swallow any of that because, and I don't think anybody's saying it like so literal, but I think we all like are just so overconfident, and not overconfident, but just confident in it. My thought is that, yes, I mean, if you average out the price of packs, you average out the price of cards, like these promos
There
would
he
have
is.
to go. Oh, there he is. You can't lose. Man, did I summon this guy? What is going on? I love it. But my thought is like, when you average out packs, you average out cards, the promos themselves would have to drop below like $40 or something for you to not make $1 or whatever it is. I get that. But it's tough for me because, you know, if it is a case where they literally print it into oblivion and it sits on shelves, I think DNA, you said this, like the amount of money that's going to be made is immensely less than what people are expecting, because I think that people think that they're going to, and I'll kind of wrap up with this on my end, but I think that when people start talking about like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars being made on this, so it's hard about how long to talk about your we're all guilty. My thought would be, sorry, that just completely threw me off. That was funny.
Yeah, no, you're good.
My thought would be is like people were thinking like, I don't know what the top is for any of these. I know that everybody kind of has their own favorites. I know the Charizard laying in like the grass with the tree shadows and stuff is like the one that everybody loves. I think that's the V if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know if one of them takes off and the other two are kind of meh. Like when it comes to pricing, like that's the hard part, because I think everybody's counting on all three of these to just absolutely stonk. And I don't know if that's going to be the case based on varying opinions of what these, you know, people's favorites.
Disagree 1,000% with Mason. Just real quick, how does it sit on the shelf, bro? Like you just made the argument with the pack EV and like whatever the price of the packs, whatever the promos. Let's say they do print it to oblivion. They're beautiful, man. Like, geez, like, you know, like even
subjective though, man. It's some people like, I love the VMAX. I think the VMAX is like the coolest card out of all of them. And I think Rob, even you and I, see, there it is. That's what I'm talking about. Like, I think I'm a big like Godzilla fan, so I think it makes him look like such an epic like dinosaur.
Yeah, I agree,
Pokemon.
Man. I think it's a great card.
But
it looks like a fake card.
See,
it looks fake.
That's what I'm saying. So there may be a market like opinion on certain ones out of these to where you know, sure, it's not going to impact, like it's not going to make it where it's a loss, but like there may be one card only out of that entire pack that maybe just goes to the moon, and maybe the rest are just, you know, $50 cards. You never know. So I say that only because of, you know, I've watched a lot of streams, been a part of a lot of streams where it's talking about this because I don't know how to sell cards according to Retro. But the main thing is that you can't guarantee stonks, and you can't guarantee thousands of dollars, because I don't want anybody to go out and say like, oh, Walmart lets me buy 10. I went ahead and bought 20 on a credit card because there's no way I can lose. You know, so I think it's like cautiously optimistic, but more on the optimistic side for me.
I get what you're saying.
This is the way that I feel about it, and I'll be super quick. Is like, that I literally was just about to say that, Mason. You have at $3.50 a pack, and that's being conservative for a pack average. There's 17 packs in it, right?
I think it's 16 or 17.
Nice, bro. That's some nice EV on that boy.
Yeah. So you have $60 in packs, and you have 3 promos, and you have the box. The box will probably sell for $5 to $10 if you can find the right buyer.
Empty box, like empty box value.
That's more of just monetizing everything. But like, if you're telling me that these promos are going to sell for less than $20 a piece, you're dusted. Way. Yeah, you're dusted. No, so it's like if you open it up and you move really quick on it, like Retro said, there's no way you can lose. Like, to be honest.
Also, if you guys want to sell me the dice sets for $10, I will gladly take them, and I will then flip them to the Metazoo players.
You'll have all 5 of mine. Dibs. Ben.
$25 for the Metazoo players all day long.
I got a box full of those ETB dice things, dude. I just keep them all.
So that's why Basic plays Metazoos. He flips all the dice from all his empty ETBs.
These random niche items that are nothing to anybody, but Metazoo guys are like $25.
That's what he was doing on that IG live, man, yesterday, dude.
He's like, wait, you're telling me
hustling?
I can flip all my dice to these dummies, and I can enter in a tournament to win some money. He's like, let's go.
Look, listen, I'm pretty sure no Metazoo players are going to be listening to Peek's channel. It's very, very, very niche, but yeah, Metazoo community, very irrational. Very, very irrational in how they look at these things. So $25 because they're gold and they're heavy and they want them, and they'll pay $25 for them.
All right, final thing, guys, and then we'll end here. And this kind of has a little bit to go with Retro's comment,
dude.
250 or more in PSA
Higher.
10. So
Higher.
let's say this. Let's say this. Out of the three, we'll speculate here. What's the lowest PSA 10 price out of the three of those? You don't have to say which card or anything. Just like, what's the lowest PSA 10 price one of these promos goes for in the next 6 months, and what's the highest?
In 6 months?
Yeah,
you can
6 months.
I'm going to mute myself because I just said the market was wrong on Umbreon when I just made that wrong play earlier. So
I think if you're looking at
actually, it's better if DNA says it, because then it'll double for
6
us.
months
We'll
is
be
a
ready to
very
go.
wide window.
It is,
I
but that's staying. That's like all the big ones in the beginning. That's a little bit of settling, and then that's if market increases on the growth of whatever the price is going to be. Like, that's a good sample size as far as time, I think.
I
So
think
go ahead, Rob.
Say 200 on the low end and 1,000 on the high end.
Jaws,
I could see them
think you were
going
saying
for
something.
easy 700-800 right off the rip. Those first couple, I can definitely see 1,000 for sure. For sure.
Exactly, bro. So like, I don't know about the high, but like just like bottom. I'm saying like if you're looking at 160 and you just hold it like that, I mean it's looking nice, bro. You're pretty happy with that value, bro. With the lowest one being like 160, like I like it.
Yeah, I've got the bottom on whatever the bottom of any one of those cards may be. I'm thinking 150, 175.
I'm going to say like, it depends on me or printed, but it's in a premium collection.
Yeah, we can't hear you, bro.
No, yeah,
I muted you.
I wasn't even talking there too. I was like trying to like fake you all out, so it's kind of funny that you did that. But
I couldn't help it with the
that's
pause.
weird.
You were like, I think it's and then I was like, we got to mute DNA or he's going to tank the market.
Oh, you muted me.
Yeah,
Okay. I thought I was on mute. Yeah. But anyways, I think 275 is the 250, 275 is probably the bottom, depending on how many are printed, because it's a premium collection. And I think right at the gate, they're going to start for like 850, 900. That's just my take.
Yeah, I'll say bottom. I'm going to probably go like 175. I don't know if the bottom is going to be, you said 250, 275?
Well, Retro just brought up a really good point. He says, I have 3 words for you, Shiny Charizard VMAX. That's still, I just sold one of those a couple months ago for like $350, $375, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but it's psychological though. And when you have 3 options, one of them just naturally is going to fall.
Right.
One of them is just going to trail off. And there's going to be one that's just going to be the leader of the board, and it's going to stay on the top.
I agree.
Then you have the one in the middle, and just psychologically, one's going to trail.
I think low, we're looking at 175. I think high, that's so hard to say the high. I would say, yeah, probably $1,000, probably $1,000. I could see like one of those, especially if the print quality is not great and it's a low pop 10 comparatively.
Usually
Black
chase
label.
cards.
What's our black label, guys? We'll throw black label price on here. Top black label price.
Absurd,
You know there will be
ridiculous,
Six.
like
Six.
disgusting.
6K.
6K?
10.
$10,000,
No.
bro. 10,000 million. No, I'm obviously lying, but
On
10,000
the best
million,
one,
bro.
whatever one takes the lead, right? Which I'm thinking is the Astro. I'm thinking it's the Astro that's going to take the lead on this one. If that one gets a black label, it's a 10K card.
But just look at the Umbreon that just sold at Collectacon for 6K. That's like the most popular modern card of all time.
Exactly. And Umbreon is no Charizard.
You can see it both ways.
In a way, yes. In a way, yes.
gonna be
In
so
another way,
absurd,
it's the
bro.
biggest alternate art of all time. It's the biggest. It's the most iconic modern card. And if that's going for about that 5 to 6K mark,
when Charizard's riding
Yeah.
that wave too, so it's not a bad point because this
you
is
do
coming
get the
out at
Charizard
peak of
tax. I get
Umbreon.
it. I get it.
Bro,
How much
so-
is that? How much is that? Hold on, one more thing. I'm sorry. One thing. How much is that Charizard from the original UPC go for? The Celebrations one in the 10. Is that still smacking for like
Well, they don't,
6,000?
since they don't grade it anymore. I haven't tracked those sales, but I remember it
Never
went up.
got a black
And-
label, but the
right, you
PSA
can't even-
10s were going for a couple thousand, right?
Yeah,
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
think it
saying.
ever hit 6.
And you can't even Beckett that boy. So yeah, it's gonna be. It could possibly be like an egregious price, bro. It's gonna be hilarious.
I can't see 10K. My vintage brain cannot take $10,000.
It's gonna be nice, bro. No. You should be happy as a vintage collector to see that, bro. You should be hilarious. You should be super happy, in my opinion.
Big boy pockets are gonna go after that one black label.
I'll say 7,500 tops on the black label. I can't see it going to 10. That's like a whole. I mean, I could be wrong.
What if the print quality is super sucky, bro, and like it is like a condition rarity card, and it is like super limited? Oh, it's gonna be a 10,000 boy for sure.
I'll stay with.
I still don't see this man casually flexing the black label. What was the pop on that one again?
This pop one.
Yeah. I remember you showing that.
That's nice, bro. That's a beauty.
Take my Dream League, Erica and Vileplume just chilling my Himeno.
So we can close it out with this peak. The Shiny Charizard VMAX has PSA 10 pop of 6,949.
So the last 350, you said?
6,949 in PSA 10. The last auction sold, I don't know what the BITs are probably going to be higher, but they're around 250. Last sold today for $246.50. That one sold tonight. So the market cap for Shiny Charizard VMAX is $1.712 million.
Sounds right. Sold who was the auction? Was it a known person or was it just a random?
No, but I mean, there was looks like the same seller sold two today, one for 246, one for 250. Here's one today as well, 268. Here's a buy it now today for 289. There's like 9 that sold today, dude.
So that sounds right. That sounds right on that boy at that price, though. That price sounds right to me.
I just ain't paying anywhere near
that. I'll never be able to put my brain into something that 6,000 tens exist. However many you said, like
there's 3 Umbreons and a 4. Can you imagine sending your Umbreon to PSA at the 100 and getting a 4?
What did you do? Like that's only. I mean, a 6 I get. Maybe it was deaded, whatever. But a 4, like you just high-fived it on your way out. Like when you put it between the cardboard. Like I don't get it.
Dude, the gem rate on a Shiny Charizard VMAX, it's 69.49, so almost 7,000. It's an 8250 graded. The gem rate is 84.2%. That's insane, dude.
I don't know where the buyer pool is, but I would love to find it because it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I always reference Retro's video where he talked about like vintage and modern, like missing the forest for the trees. Like just, we're so in our lanes about like what fundamentals are, but then things like this sell like for $300 and there's almost 7,000 tens. Like,
dude, it's simple, man. It's new collectors coming in, watching these bigger channels, talking about investing, and they see, whoa, this is a cool card. Look at this. It's a Charizard. It looks cool. Oh, it's like it's total just ignorance and inexperience, dude. And I remember being there watching Leonhardt buying a base set Charizard for way too much money in a BGS 9.5 because he was telling me it's the same as a PSA 10. And I was an idiot and knew the hobby and was excited and wanted to get in it. And it wasn't. You know what I mean? And I overpaid for it. Like, obviously, I made my money back because Charizard went to the moon, base set. But it's just, I honestly believe it's just total inexperience. And people are looking at it like, oh, this is a cool card. This seems like it's a good idea. Let's do it. Like,
but also, I would always hang my hat on this one. And when it comes to pop reports, we look at a pop of when we collect what we collect, and we are used to collecting pops of sub 100. Some of you even sub 20, right? When you look at pops of 6,000, Umbreon at 2,300, to me, that's still not enough to feed the mouths out there that want it for whatever reason it may be.
Totally.
Which is why the market sustains or is able to keep that level, because simply 2,300 copies is not enough to feed the tens of thousands of mouths that are out there, possibly even millions across the world.
Well, it could definitely be like me underestimating as well, like the sheer volume of buyers in the Pokemon market for graded cards, because that's a very good point. It's hard for me to imagine people who are buying PSA graded cards. Again, we're all very in the niche of this, but like, it's very hard for me to imagine people buying PSA 10s of slabs that aren't paying attention to like other cards, like fundamentals, like, oh, this is a 10, this is a low pop, because that's the path that I've gone on, and I'm sure you guys have as well.
But like, there's thousands of them out there that have no idea what a pop report is, have no idea how to look at sold prices or anything. They're just following PokeTubers' advice. They're just hearing this stuff. They're new, and they're going in because it's fun. They're reliving stuff. It's emotions, and it's something exciting, and it's like two powerful emotions in a brain. And you're an adult, or you have some type of disposable income now, especially if these people are telling you that you can potentially make money. So it's like now you have nostalgia and the, optionality of making money. Dude, that's just like a recipe for inexperienced, purchases. Like it's just, I'm telling you, man, there's just a lot of inexperienced buyers out there.
I just want to say one quick thing. I'm so with you, Basic. Like I'm kind of more in that boat because the PSA 10 price is that much, right? On the Charizard VMAX shiny, right? From Shining Fates. Like the near mint though, if you look at TCG Player and eBay, it's sitting at around like 100, 110, 120, like whatever. I mean, that's a hard card to pull, right? Like, I mean, and then you look at the Umbreon, you look at the Giratina. I mean, these cards, not only are they difficult to pull, but they're beautiful. And you look at Rainbow Pikachu. I mean, you could get that card how much for near mint? Like raw, like 150. Well, that sounds right to me, bro. like that, like so. I do agree that it's the PokeTubers, but I feel like we're a little bit past that now. You know what I mean? And like some of these cards, it sounds right to me, bro. I mean, a lot of liquidity. You see what PokeDNA said, and I see it too over here in LA. Everybody loves altards, and in the big card show, Frankincense, there is none, bro. There ain't none. So people are stalking these boys for show. That's my opinion.
I mean, don't get me wrong. People are still very uneducated and very easily influenced. But the pool of buyers consists of all of these folks: the uneducated, the easily influenced, the highly educated, the non-easily influenced person that just wants the card, that just a collector that wants it, the person that just wants to ride the hype. I mean, all of these different lanes are meeting towards one card that simply does not have the pop to feed everyone.
Here's this too, is that a black label, and this is a buy it now listing. It's the only one I could find, but it's still sitting up from July. I don't know how authentic that is, but there's a black label shiny Charizard VMAX with the pack art sitting next to it that sold July 30th for $10,200.
Was it
three of them
paid
in black
for?
It's
is it showing up on TerraPeek or is it on just eBay Solds?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Because eBay Solds is very unreliable.
Yeah.
I guess my whole thought is to like surprising. It's surprising to me that there's so many people putting $300 to $400 into a single Pokemon card, modern Pokemon card today, without like STEMI checks coming in again, because that was a big worry for a lot of people, is all this extra income that was supplementing people's buying power. And again, I'm not arguing the fact. I'm literally just saying, like, it's so surprising to me that there's so many people who are willing to put this much money into this hobby, into this. I mean, graded cards are a niche of this hobby. Like, that's not a mass market thing. I mean, it kind of is getting there, but like, the average person, you walk on the street, like, you guys all have jobs. Like, you talk to somebody at work, you're like, have you ever heard of a graded card? They're like, what? What are you talking about? So like, it's just surprising to me that there's that many people who are willing to I mean, $350 is not a small amount of money when you're talking about buying a trading card. Like, it's crazy to me that there's that many people that'll pay for that are just random. Like Basic said, all aspects of life. Hey, maybe they just want the card cool, but I mean, there's that many of them buying this. I mean, it's crazy to me.
Millions of collectors, man. Millions.
Yeah, based off the volume movement. I mean, it's I think it's more legitimacy. Like the prices are going down, but the volume is there. You look at low poppins like recent sales, bro. Like even in the upper echelon of the game, like there's the stuff is selling, bro. Like maybe not for the super high, but I think it's more people just believing in it. Who knows if it'll last, but I think people just really believe in the card,
Could be. I think there's a lot of people trying to make money on cards right now. I think more than we've ever seen, and that's okay. I mean, capitalism is going to capitalism, which is fine. It's just, I don't know. I don't know if these people stay in long enough to where they want rarer cards or if they just stick with modern and go forward. I mean, from my experience, it's been you start with what you know, and then you start branching out. For me, being a 90s kid, I started with, let's look at all these old cards that I used to look at, and then it became like, oh, wow, this pop report has 8. I want one now. Like, you know, it was all about like chasing like the condition rarity more than just in general having like a binder copy. So I'm curious, like with people buying perfect gem rate, or not perfect gem rate, but like super high gem rate 10s, it's like, will they ever go back to, okay, now I want to find a chase card that's actually really hard to grade and maybe try and find that 10. I don't know. I don't know if it swings both ways or if they just keep going and, you know, modern Pokemon company loves it because everybody buys the product constantly. I'm not sure.
I got a hot take. I think that with how beautiful modern is and how fun it is, that it's hurting the vintage market. And obviously people are going to say it's separate. And I do agree to an extent, 100%.
I disagree.
But at the same time, there's so many people, because modern is so hot and there is so much optionality, there's so much potential to make money, plus the cards look phenomenal, that when we were talking, and this opened my eyes, when we were talking with Kanto Shark on the podcast, he was like, I don't buy vintage anymore. I only buy modern because of the potential. And like, I truly think that there's a lot of businesses out there kind of going that route. And not only that, that more than ever, when I got into the hobby with Team Up and Miracle Twins and right before Hidden Fates, the modern chase card is like a full art rainbow rare. And it's just a Pokemon standing there. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. But dude, these chase cards nowadays are so addicting. They're so beautiful. Everything looks so good that people are like, why would I go to vintage when I can buy a $4 pack and hit this huge card worth hundreds or thousands of dollars and it looks amazing? Like, there's so much potential with modern nowadays as compared to when I got there. It just wasn't there. It didn't have the same steam. It just wasn't. And because of that, I think a lot of people are just focusing on modern now. Maybe not buying modern slabs, but a lot of attention has shifted towards modern for a couple different reasons. And I think it is hurting the vintage market in a way, because not as many people are going to invest in that and buying those slabs and raising the market because more people are buying it. So there's less of it out there. So it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's sitting more, or auctions aren't going as high because people aren't looking at it as much. Like, I really do think that how beautiful these all arts are now and how popular modern is, it's really starting to impact the vintage market, man.
Well, maybe also too, maybe vintage has gotten, and has been for too long, too expensive. The cost of entry into it, unless you've been in it, is probably really, really difficult to justify a $500 pack for maybe hitting a good card. You know, it's, and also, you know, one thing that was a really good explanation, and I wouldn't say a hot take, it's a pretty intellectual take actually. But one thing too that made me think whenever you said that was, you know, what does the vintage buyer pool look like today? Because it's a lot, because after going to Collectacon and seeing, like, you know, the Whatnot guys, Travis and those guys walking around buying and stuff, and talking to a lot of the booths, you know, everybody wants 60, 70% comps because they want to flip and resell. So it makes me think too, is vintage not selling as much because the prices, nobody's willing to part with it for that low of an actual like return? And modern people are like, well, we'll just buy it at whatever price. Like that's another thing that, you know, the buyer pool possibly in vintage being affected, as well as vintage just being at a price where, yeah, maybe there's a lot more new people than old people, which is probably the most like Captain Obvious statement ever. But maybe people coming in, they're like, why would I go back and buy a $500 first edition pack for something I didn't grow up with when I can buy, you know, do you know how many booster boxes that is? Like, you know, that's what I imagine them saying. Right. So no, I think that's a very good take.
I was just about to make that comment, and I was going to say, it's like Rob said, you know, if you go back like 2 or 3 months ago, you know, you talk about getting a fossil pack. All right. And let's say it's an unweighted fossil pack for unlimited for $150. You hit a hollow and you pull a muck and it has a print line and a corner ding. So you spend $150 to pull a muck, or you can talk a few months back, or you can open up Evolving Skies booster box. As much as I love vintage, I have e-reader cards, crystal cards literally on my desk right now. I love vintage. I'm going to take the Evolving Skies box over fossil every single day. Granted, that's one set, but I'd take the same thing over base set, over base set 2. You know, I don't know about base set 2. I like the Cosmos holofoil a lot, but over a lot of vintage packs, just because modern is more fun to open. You get more quantity. You get that if you are like an addict, or I wouldn't say an addict, but if you really enjoy the experience, you can open up one vintage pack, or you can open up a whole booster box and have that fixed. Where if you want to get into vintage booster boxes, one, your EV isn't there, and two, you're in a whole different buyer pool.
Your entry point is so much higher too.
Yeah.
When you look at, whatnot streamers and pack breakers too, what are you going to do to keep streams going? Like, sure, we'll going twice, throw out a Skyridge box every now and then, or a base first, just random things like that. Sure. But if I'm a pack breaker who arguably, like Whatnot and these guys, like they kind of move the market, because those guys, have the most one-on-one interaction with like actual buyers. And I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy like 4 or 5 cases of Evolving Skies and know that you've got streams set up for maybe half the year, or, how, I don't know what their volume is, but they're buying, obviously, and not all of them have distributor contracts. So it's probably just, people buying secondhand or pre-orders or whatever. I mean, would you rather do 30 streams with a modern booster box every time and people getting really pumped and you making your money back, and then they get really pumped about it because you're pumping them up? Or would you rather buy one vintage box, have one big opening, and then you're done? So, yeah, I think it's a good point.
When Rob, when you were talking about, vintage and modern getting in the way of vintage, when I buy something vintage, right? And I think everyone here, right, for sure buys vintage and they have them in their collection. And when you look at those pops, right, I think today that buyer pool of something that's popped sub 100, it's a collector. It's not an investor. Like, to me, when you're buying something that's sub 100, and this is my gut feeling, and you guys can definitely answer this. My gut feeling is you don't sit there and say this is investable because it's sub 100 versus this is sub 100 and I'm one out of those sub 100 owners of this card. That's vintage. That was back in 1996, 97, 99, what have you, right? So that's kind of my thinking when it comes to vintage. I don't think that modern gets in the way of vintage. Maybe could the prices be higher? For sure. And I think definitely modern people, the newer people in the crowds, and you mentioned Kanto Shark, kind of raised an eyebrow that, he's buying modern because this is the stuff that's moving, but it's that thinking. It's that specific thinking of that it could move. It can move up.
Right.
And that's the specific reason why you're buying those items versus vintage. It's just, no, I'm just one out of that Pikachu that you sold me, the Mount Fuji rally. I'm one of 70 owners of that card. If there's 70 different owners,
great buy, by the way. Perfect buy. You can't lose. Probably the best cards you've ever bought. I'm
sure you feel that way, Peek. But yeah, that's how I look at it, right? Versus like modern, I just kind of look at modern as like, oh, everyone's got one. But even with that said, once again, unbiased, there's only 2,300 Umbreons right now. Only. If you take all the numbers, all the people that went to Collectacon at Denver, you probably are able to feed 10-15% of them. That's it. The population of the people that went to that Denver Collectacon is probably around, typically what they average is like 50 to 75,000 throughout the whole weekend. I haven't seen the numbers lately, but that was like for like the first 3, 4, 5. But yeah, only 2,300. There's not enough. So yeah.
All right. So I came into the stream feeling like I knew Pokemon pretty well. I felt really good. I was like, this is how the market works. This is how, and now Basic's like, well, you did dump your modern cards, but now you hold them. Now we invest and we wait. So I don't know.
Wait. Who is this? No. I said people that are buying. People that are buying modern, they're buying with the mindset of this can rise. Versus,
but it's not a wrong mindset to think about though that way.
No, it's not the wrong mindset. Yeah. I'm just going based off of what Rob was saying. It's like I don't think modern is getting of the way of vintage. It's just that the pool that's buying vintage, right? I'm not buying a vintage card thinking it's gonna rise up. I'm buying a vintage card because I'm only one of 70 owners of this card. Right, that's the cool aspect about holding this one card versus Modern, it's this can rise. This
And
can, and I'm not saying that's wrong. All I'm
you're
saying is it's
exactly right.
for two different things.
You're
One
exactly
thing that's
right. But the thing beforehand is that people were buying vintage and expecting it to rise. You know what I'm saying? They were investing in vintage. That's my whole point. And now people are investing in modern because before, modern was not moving. I still will never forget when Jake was on Z&G Emporium's podcast, or Z&G was on his podcast, and they opened up and Jake's like, "How's it going, Z&G? What are you doing?" And something, and he said something like, "You're not sitting on a bunch of Evo cases, are you? Evo booster boxes?" And Z&G's like, "Oh my God, no." You know, because they were like $90. And I'm like, thinking in my, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a totally different paradigm. And so like before, people were buying vintage because it had a lot more potential to go up, and now not so as much. And now it's more focused to modern. And that's why I'm saying I think it's affecting the vintage market, because before people were buying, prices were raising, not as much product. There was more hype, just like with the Umbreon. Like you see prices go up, so people want to buy, and then that pushes prices up, and then not as much available on the market or whatever. And so that's where I'm kind of getting at.
First off, great James Carson impression. Second, when it comes to vintage, I think the general feeling when you're buying something vintage, right, is that the floor is there and it's not going away. Modern, that can definitely be the case. We're constantly having conversations of Umbreon is going to be $350 in a couple of weeks, and it does the opposite, right? But we're constantly having these conversations on when is it going to fall, and then some of them fall, some of them don't, right? Mm-hmm. But with vintage, whatever you're buying with today, there's a ton of vintage that you bought a year ago at certain prices, and they still hold that price.
That's what I was going to say, basically, because I think that you're almost like, there's no guarantee in collectibles, obviously, but when you buy vintage, it's kind of like you're hedging your bet there. Like there's not as much volatility. Obviously, there's always going to be outliers in the vintage market, like, hey, stuff dropped, blah, blah, blah. Let's take like the huge boom and those prices that like have come down. Like, let's say this is like our stable for the most part. Your modern market is so much more volatile now, which volatile is not always a bad thing. Volatile is very profitable for a lot of people, as we've seen with Umbreon. But vintage now, and I think, Rob, you said it really well, is that people bought a lot of vintage thinking it would go up because it was going up. But now that that's somewhat cooled down, it's stabilized. I think in the very long term, we're talking 20 plus years, those vintage items will still have an inherent value, preferably more, probably more, I would think, if Pokemon is still going by then, which I don't see why it wouldn't. Modern cards now, I don't think are going to replicate that, or going to replicate what vintage does long term. I think there's a certain timeline. I think there's a I guess, how would I describe it? There's just a lifespan with, I think, modern stuff. Like Rainbow Rares are a prime example. Rainbow Rares were like awesome for the longest time, and then now, like, from my experience, at least from people I talk to, I've never liked Rainbow Rares, but I never hear anybody talk about them ever anymore. So I think that, yeah, if you are going to buy vintage and you think you're going to quick flip it, it's not going to work as well nowadays. I mean, there's still plays being made and everything, but I think if it's like, oh, I'm going to hold these and actually PC them for a certain amount of time, and then you're that guy on Pawn Stars season like 178, and you're like, here you go, like, you know, you'll get some value out of it. I think if you do that with modern cards, you're probably going to be either at the same price or you're going to be less. Obviously, there's going to be outliers, but I think that's a good way to probably look at it. But guys, it's 12:45. My time. Yeah, I'm so sorry for like.
I was about to say I'm about to tap out.
Dude, I'm having way too much fun in this conversation.
I know.
This is probably one of the funnest lives that I've done in a long time. This is all of it is good. You guys, good company. Seriously.
Thanks, man.
Guys, we'll be going live on my channel right after this.
Let's take the party over there, bro.
If you're not behind the Patreon, the basic Patreon paywall, like, let's make it happen.
Raid that basic trainer though. Raid that.
No. I so appreciate you guys being on, and this was good talk. I'm glad that my case break went so short at an hour and a half that we could just do an impromptu hangout, and we had like 15, 20 people in here. So chat, you guys are awesome. Good questions, fun conversation. Beyond that, unfortunately, there will not be anything in the description because I probably won't update this, but Basic Trainer, Pokemon DNA, Rob, they all have channels. You guys should definitely check them out.
Smack the subscribe button.
Yeah, get Basic Trainer up to like 1 million subs so he can upload his first video. It'll be great. But anyway, no, so appreciate you guys hanging out. And other than that, guys, I will see everyone later.
See you guys.
Deuces.
Peace.